Hey there, YouTube! Welcome on back to Artichoke Dip. My name is Rob, solo tabletop gamer. And in this episode, we're going to talk about something very addicting. But before I get into it, if you liked the video, click that like button. It lets me know you like the content and I'll make more like it. Or if you're new here, don't forget to click that subscribe button, followed by the bell icon. Every time I upload a new video, you'll get a notification so you don't miss one. Alright, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this thing. But first, brief little history. Let's kind of go back first before I get into all of this. So, when I bring up the name H.G. Wells, a lot of you may think of his great works, his contributions to science fiction. A few, well, more than a few, some that have been made into major motion picture films, such as The Time Machine, The Invisible Man, War of the Worlds, that goes without saying, and The Island of Dr. Moreau, sorry. But besides being a great science fiction author, not too many people know, even people I've met who are hardcore gamers, know that, well, we owe kind of a debt of gratitude to H.G. Wells. If it wasn't for him, well, would the genre of miniature gaming be as it is today? Would everything be the way it is today? Some people would argue and say yes. Others say they're not too certain. But one thing I can tell you, H.G. Wells, besides writing great science fiction novels, he also wrote a book. One of the very first books ever published about miniature gaming. Now, the book Little Wars, and how it started out, him and his son were playing on a Saturday afternoon in the boys' room, and it was at that point that he had taken his bed sheet off and draped it onto the ground. When that happened and it covered everything that was on the floor, it was at that point H.G. Wells noticed something. And what he had noticed is that bed sheet was no longer a bed sheet. It was now a battle terrain. Everything that was on the floor offered mountains and valleys and all kinds of things that, well, could make for a very good strategic game. And it was at that point he started to sit down and think of rules and began to write those up until he published this book, Little Wars. Now, there is so many rules that are prevalent still to today in games coming out that involve miniatures that still go straight back to this book. And it's a very good book if you enjoy miniatures. And let me rephrase that. If you play miniatures, you enjoy miniature games, whether it's Dungeons and Dragons genre type of game, whether you're playing Warhammer, it really doesn't matter. They all share a similar mechanic system as to how the miniatures move about the boards and engagement and disengagement and so on and so forth. And that all goes back to the original writing of H.G. Wells. Now, does it mean I would run out and buy the book to apply the rules to your game? You could if you wanted to, but it is kind of a cool thing to sit down and read and, well, just see the history of gaming and what it was and what it has become today. And you'll be surprised to find out not a whole lot has really changed since then. But the cool thing about it is, as gamers, and particularly miniature gaming, because the thing that's different about miniature gaming compared to role-playing games. So role-playing games, you can roll attributes and create a character and detail it, and, well, you could pretty much find just about any mini, or you can think of something, whether it's a bottle cap, a mini, a dice, whatever, to represent your character, because in your mind you already know what your character looks like, what his attributes of that character are and how you picture it into your mind. Now, many people will go out and find a mini and at that point paint it and detail it exactly to the way that they originally imagined that character and put it on the table from there. But there's a whole entire different type of gaming out there. Miniature gaming. Miniatures is great. It's addictive. I'm going to get that warning out of the way right now. Miniatures is extremely addictive. If you've never played a miniatures war game, the first time you do and you win and you realize everybody there at that table, you have outsmarted them, the dice rolled in your favor, and you have won. Your strategic planning, or if you have a battle type of mind, at that point, you get to sit back and enjoy that victory. But with that, well, it's kind of like a drug, because at that point, you want to keep going back and you want to do another battle and you want to win again. But one thing you learn fairly quickly is you never have enough miniatures. Particularly, depending on the type of game you're playing, you're always going to want to put more models out there on the battlefield. The more models, the better. Go on and on and on and on about that. But we won't. What I want to talk about is, so us as solo gamers. Now, particularly, well, miniature skirmish has always been intended for anywhere up to, well, as many people you can cram around a table, and as big as a table. I mean, there are massive tables out there with just these elaborate setups that people will go to these tournaments and spend an entire weekend playing one game to get through them. But, well, with us as solo tabletop gamers, how do we do that? How do we get that miniature experience, that feeling of putting your models out on the board and watching the opponent models move, and then having that feeling of like, ooh, this doesn't look good. I may not make it out of this. I'm going to have to rethink my plan because 2 turns ago you had it figured out. One bad dice roll, and as the enemies advance on the board, you find out, well, by next turn I'm going to be overrun and possibly lose if I don't do something to change this now. Well, there is a solution to that. There is a very, very good solution to that. And that solution, I have to say, now if you're new into the hobby and you've never played miniature skirmish before, maybe you've played a few role-playing games, maybe you've played a few board games like and I bring up the D&D series because they are so popular and they're just out there everywhere. And I think a lot of people, when they start out in miniatures, they're either start out in Warhammer or they're going to start out in D&D, because those are, in my opinion here, the 2 most popular and most easily accessible systems that there are out there. But there is another system, and that is Rangers of Shadow Deep. Now, I had picked this book up, and it's an easy read. It's a simple read. Even if you're new into the hobby, this is written at, how do I put this? It's not a very long, technical, drug-out process for this game. Like some miniature games can get very detailed, and you can get, how do I put this, lost in the rules and to the way that they explain to you how the models move across the terrain and going up levels, down levels, jumping, crossing restricted terrain, and so on and so forth. And there can be so many different variants of one rule and bonuses and penalties added to it, and sometimes it can become overwhelming. But once you learn the rule set, it becomes very fun. But Rangers of Shadow Deep, the way that it is written, it's very simple. It's very simple to understand. Now, the one thing you have to understand about this game system, this is a miniature game system, which means you pick up the book, you have to acquire the models, and you have to set up your own battle maps as well to play it. But don't let that scare you off. A lot of miniature gamers that I have talked to over the years, everybody starts out small and then builds up their arsenal over time. And typically one of the most addictive things about miniature gaming is you get a new scenario and you quickly find out you don't have enough models, or you don't have the particular models that you need for that scenario. And sometimes you'll find out, even collecting like D&D minis and stuff like that, that sometimes you always don't get like large rodents, like giant rats or giant spiders or giant things, like that. And at that point, you have to go out and find these things. Sometimes get a little crafty and base them to make them decent looking models. Which, hey, I've done that before. There's a lot of minis that I have that, believe it or not, have started out as a Halloween decoration or something like that. And then I saw it and I said, that would be really cool. I could use this for this scenario. And at that point, I've taken that and, painted it, based it, and there's my miniature model. Maybe in a future episode I'll get into that and talk about acquiring minis on the cheap. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if people, if that's something they want to learn about or not. But I figured rather than sitting and just rambling on about Rangers of Shadow Deep, I'm going to talk about it a little bit and explain the very basic rule system of it, what makes it so interesting, and it works very well solo. And then we'll get into the battle map I have set up here, and I'll do a couple playthroughs so you can see it actually in action. So, Rangers of Shadow Deep goes into a series of turns, and the way that it's set up is, like an RPG, you create a character. It's basically your model. And after you have created it, which is really not hard to do, the process is very, very simple. And you are given a certain amount of points that you can allocate across your skills, buying spells, and your attributes. And it gives you 10 to start out with, so you're kind of limited as to what you can do at first level, but it does give you that flexibility to be able to make that miniature, I'm going to say, or actually character, because it is a miniature skirmish game after all. It's not an RPG. This is the thing I like about this game. I should get that out there. These scenarios and the backstories are wonderful. They're great. It has a very RPG feel to it, and it has a world created for it on its own. So, as you play through the scenario, leading into the next scenario, you're just essentially picking up into like the next chapter of an RPG game in the way that plays. But at its very core, it's a miniature game that can be enjoyed solo or cooperatively with a large group of people, just all depending on how you want to play it. But with that being said, after you create your character, you at that point pick your companions, and they're just simple templates. You go into the back of the book and you look up what kind of companion you would like, whether it's another ranger like yourself, a fighter, what do they call that? They don't call them sorcerers, they call them, I'm trying to remember the name for them, enchanters. Whether you want an enchanter, or whether you want a thief, or whatever you want, you pick that out, and it already gives you all the information you need for that model already there. As a matter of fact, you can use what I do and just grab some index cards. At that point, just pencil everything you need for your companions on there, which makes it much more simple. After you have that done, you set up your battle map according to the scenario that it gives you, and it gives you a brief outline of what the scenario is, and leaves it up to you. As a matter of fact, you detail all of the terrain and everything to what you like. So it could be as basic as just getting some old cardboard boxes and setting them on the table to represent buildings, all the way to if you really wanted to get elaborate and deploy stuff like this onto your tabletop. It's entirely up to you. They leave that up to you. It just gives you a base idea of what the map looks like, and here you go. Once you get that map all set up, at that point, movement is all measured in inches. So if you got a basic ruler at the house, hey, you're already halfway there. And the only other thing you're going to need are 20-sided dice. Matter of fact, the whole game is ran on 20-siders. You won't need any other dice except for your 20-sided dice, a standard deck of playing cards, and, well, some minis. And then moving on from there, you get into the game. The game is pretty simple, and the way it flows, I like it. So first off, your character, you move that model, and you can move in an attack or cast a spell, use one of your, I have to see, one of your, basically I'm trying to remember what they call this. And I want to say feats, and I know that's not right because I'm resorting back to Dungeons and Dragons, but your heroic abilities. So you get heroic abilities that you can activate once per scenario. One of the things that I chose for, actually I got 3 of them that I chose for mine, was focus. So I get a +8 bonus to any skill in here. Now when you start your character new, you only get so many points to allot to your skills. So your skills, well, you start out with only a couple of skills with a bonus to, and the rest of them is left up to the luck of the die. Whereas with the focus, if I need that skill, it'll be able to help me out with that, and at that point I can burn that up and use that. I also have Deadly Shot, which I really like. Deadly Shot, on a roll of an 18 or a 19 of a 20-sider, it automatically counts as a critical hit. Now, critical hit in this game, what that means is basically you're doing your total damage to that character. It's basically unblockable, or model, I'm sorry, and takes that damage. And the majority of the encounters that you're going to encounter, it's pretty devastating in this system. The other thing that I chose for this is Call to Action, which I can activate one companion, which is very, very... At first when I picked it and reading through the rule set, I chose it, and I thought, well, did I make a mistake? But I found out when I played the first scenario through, it was actually a very, very good decision, because when you play solo, you're only allowed to activate 2 companions at once with one time per turn, unless you can use Call to Action and you can activate an additional companion. I have 3 companions, so it worked out well for me because it came down to the wire, and it was literally all or nothing. Came down to that last turn, and this really helped. I was able to activate my Conjurer and my other 2 companions along with myself, and that's actually what won me the game. If it wasn't for that, I would have lost it. So I have to admit that was a good one to have. I also decided to take some spells too as well. And with that, I got a couple of spells. Magic Bolt being one of them, which I get a +5 shooting attack to any figure on a board. And that's as long as they're within the line of sight, ignoring cover. If I use it through the scenario, I'll get more into that. It's reading the spell and the lingo of the spell, how it works. I don't really want to get too far into that right now. And of course, the other last spell that I took for my character was Heal. It's Heal. So you can figure that out from there. If you've played an RPG game, or even any type of MMORPGs, I mean, you understand what heal is, why it's there, and why you want it. But basically, after you get that all fleshed out and you have your companions, you have your characters, it tells you what encounters are on the board and where they are at. You at that point refer to your table for your event cards, and you pull those cards out of the deck, build your event deck, shuffle them up, and set them aside. This is what makes it good for solo play. Now, as you take your turns, you take your character's turn first. You move your model, you move, take one of your heroic actions, cast a spell, fire your weapon, do whatever you're going to do. Once that turn is over, at that point, the enemy models take their turn. They all activate on the board, and if they're within distance of any of your companions or your model with a ranged attack, they're going to attack or cast a spell or whatever it is that they're going to do. After their turn is done, at that point you activate your companions. Once your companions are done, you then draw an event card, you resolve the event card, and the round is over. And you start a new round, just going in that order every single time. Now, this scenario has 8 rounds, so which is really unique. And reading the rules, it said you probably never will run out of cards with this scenario. And, well, they were right. I never did run out of cards before the scenario was over. But let's get into it so you can see what's all involved with it. What is Rangers of Shadow Deep, and is this game worthy enough for your game table? I know it is for mine, but everybody is different. If you enjoy RPG, and particularly you're looking for a different type of style of gaming to break the minis out and put them out on the board, but well, you're lacking somebody else to sit across the table from you to plot your trap to, at that point, pummel them into the earth, Rangers of Shadow Deep might be for you. Let's get over to the table and take a look. Alright, my friends, welcome to my game table. And here is my setup. And a couple of things before I get started. I will just show you the map. Oh, let me get my papers out of the way there. I will show you my map. There is the scenario layout as to which they lay out to you. That's the basic setup. And then you can add as much as you want moving forward with your scenario to detail it how you want it. So a quick rundown of what I have going on here. Let me get the dice tray out of the way. So I have set out my terrain to show on the map where it shows you should have your terrain clusters at. I got my river back here, as it suggests you should have a river, and then my 5 buildings representing the village. And as you can see, I added a few extra things just to kind of impede line of sight, make things a little bit more interesting. Some sandbags over here. I got a wagon over here and a crate right there. I don't know if you can see that or not, next to this right there, next to that building. And yeah, with that, let me move this guy back here. So the last four things I need to put on the board before I start the scenario are the zombies. So let's get them out there right now. And let's start the scenario off, and so you can see how Rangers of Shadow Deep plays, how it's a great game system. It's solo. It plays just great. I have to admit, I've been having a lot of fun with this, and maybe you guys will too. Heck, maybe you're already playing it and you already know when you're saying, hey, Artichoke, we already know. Okay. So, as soon as you came within sight of the nameless village, you knew that something wasn't right. There was no sound of man or animal, no movement except for a gentle swaying of the trees in the breeze. Closer in, you could see bodies lying in the dirt and smell the stench of death. Undaunted, you covered your face and carried on. Whatever happened here, it was your duty to try to discover the truth and, if possible, determine the fate of Aventine. You had just reached the center of the village and were about to split up to search when a horrible moaning sound came from all around. Okay, and that's where this scenario starts. As you can see, I have my character and my 3 companions with me. And before I go any further, I have to say I want to give a special shout out to my friend Trevor Green that runs Questing Table Studios, and he does a fantastic job painting miniatures. As a matter of fact, he made this mini for me right here, which is a Ranger mini for my table, and he does fantastic work. You can find him on Facebook, and if you're interested, you want some minis painted, maybe you don't have the time, give him a shout out. And he does all kinds of work. He does fantastic work. And anyways, let's move on with the game. So, before the scenario begins, choose one figure to make a perception roll. And this will be an 8 or better. If successful, you may move one of the clue markers that is not in a house 6 inches directly towards the figure. Whenever a hero moves into contact with a clue marker, it ends its action immediately and roll on the clue marker table. Okay, so I wanted to read that out loud so you could understand it. That's what these 6-sided dice are representing on the board. These are clue markers. So there are a total of 6 on the board, 2 which are contained within buildings. As you can see, this one is actually inside of there. And yeah, with that being said, let me see, closest, which would, by the looks of things, would be this one right here, but that's inside a building, so I can't use it. So we're going to go with this one, and using my perception, and I get no bonuses to my perception roll. So let's see what I do here. So I gotta have an 8 or better. A 2. Oh. That's not a good way to start out, but okay, so don't have to worry about moving the clue marker. But let's go through the first scenario and move on. So my character, first thing I can see, clear line of sight. I have these represent giant rats right here on the board, and as we can see where my character is here, he has a direct line of sight to the giant rat. So let me flip to giant rat stats, which I have, and I am going to shoot him. So I get a +2 to my shoot, and let's see what I can do. I'm not going to use that 20-sider because that already burned me once, so this one's talking to me. +2, +2. Got a 13, total of a 13, rolled an 11, and now it is the giant rat's turn. It has an armor of 6, but if he rolls better than me, at that point, it misses. An 18. That stinks. This isn't going to go too well. So at that point, the giant rat is able to evade that attack. I clearly missed that attack, but I can still move, and I can move 6 inches. And I think what I'm going to do is I am going to move 6 inches using my ruler here. And take him to there. And I'm going to start to head towards that clue marker right there to see what that clue's all about. Okay, now it is the enemy's turn, and so the first thing I'm going to do is activate the giant rats, and they have a move of 6. This would be easier if I set it this way, like so. Nope, it's right in line with my thief right there. That giant rat's going to move there, and then boom, the other one's going to move in on my conjurer. All right, so let's resolve this one first against my thief. Ooh, the giant rat rolls a 14. What does my thief roll? Let me get his card out here. My rogue, more or less. I keep calling him a thief. He's got an armor of 10. A 14. Well, that's good. That means he's able to defend himself against that attack, and I will take no damage. Now let's see what he does to the conjurer. A 13, and what does my conjurer get? A 6. Oh, this is never good. So, this system is a very simple system. Basic arithmetic. So the rat got a 13, I rolled a 6. So if you take that difference right there, that's going to leave you with 7. And if I look at my armor, my conjurer has an armor of 10. Which means there would have to be more damage than my armor to more points that exceed my armor of 10 before I would actually begin to take damage. So even though I didn't take any health damage this turn, the good thing is the armor did protect me, my armor rating. So, all right, now the next thing to activate are the zombies on the board. And the zombies have a move of 4, but considering there's nothing in their direct line of sight to attack, because they are a melee figure, they're just going to move twice. So a total of 8 inches on the board. So that'll put him here. And that'll put him here. Oh boy. I'll put him here. And I'm going to move this so that way I can measure out his movement right on the clue marker. Boom. Like so. Alright. It's heading towards the clue marker, and there's a zombie coming at him. Alright. So now, 2 of my companions are able to activate. And I can decide who activates. And I think the first companion I'm going to activate is going to be my barbarian, Agnor. And I'm going to have him, at that point, attack that giant rat and get rid of that thing because he tried to eat my conjurer. So, Agnor does get a +4 to fight. That's going to be a 14. Let me grab my book to get my stats of my giant rats. Let's see where the giant rats are at. And we're going to roll a 17. Oh, man. Wow, these rats are quick. So there's even no point because the rat was able to evade my attack yet again. And now the next attack, I'm going to use my rogue, Shelter, and attack that rat. So let's hope this goes a little bit better for Shelter. Oh, 18. That's going to be hard to beat. And the rat gets, 17. Ooh, okay. So I get a +1 to fight, which is going to take me up to a 19. And the good thing is it has an armor of 6. So I've done more damage. And my damage has exceeded its armor, which is 6. And it has 1 health point. So at that point, this rat is out of the game. For now. I'm sure it'll spawn again later. Okay, now the last thing to do at this point is to draw an event card and see what we have to deal with. It can either be good or it can be very bad, and most of them can be pretty bad. So let's see how bad really is. Okay, I drew a 4. I'm going to set my round marker here. Zombie. Place a zombie adjacent to one randomly determined clue marker. Oh, man. Okay, so how do I want to do this? Okay, let's see what clue marker, because there's only 6 here, that zombie's going to be next to. Number 2. Okay, so we got a zombie here. Alright, I know it's kind of hard to see behind, but he's right there behind my scatter terrain. Alright, now that's the end of round 1. Now we're starting round 2. And obviously, before I can get to this clue marker, I have a zombie that I have to deal with that is very close proximity of that clue marker. And I think I'm just going to shoot him with my bow. It seems to be the most logical thing to do at this point. I get a +2 to my shoot. And I get a 13. Hopefully, the zombie doesn't roll that well. He rolls a 5. This is good. This is real good. So let me go to the stats of the zombie. The zombie has an armor of 12. So I've only done technically 2 points of damage to that particular zombie. So he has 6 points and he is now currently at 4. So I'm going to use the 6-sider. I'm going to put that 6-sider right there to show he's got 4 health points. And I think at that point, because the cool thing about this game, if you are engaged with melee combat, you cannot move. You are engaged. But if you are shooting a ranged weapon, you can fire and still move your normal amount without taking any penalties for that, if you will. And I think I'm going to get out of this area because it's getting pretty dangerous at this point. And I think I'm going to join my companions here. I'm going to move him back to here. Now, at that point, the enemies activate. So let's resolve this with the giant rat first. And the giant rat at that point is engaged in combat with, now currently, my barbarian here. So let's see what the giant rat does. An 18. Ooh, that's gonna be hard to beat. Oh man. Okay. Come on, roll high, roll high. A 20. All right. Can't get much higher than that. So at that point, I take no damage, and my barbarian successfully evades his attack. But now we have zombies to deal with. And all these zombies are going to activate and begin to move in. This zombie can move to here. This zombie will be moving to here. This zombie, however, he's going to move right up onto my rogue. And this zombie back here behind the terrain. Ooh, this is gonna be ugly. This is gonna be very ugly. I can already tell. And of course, this zombie gets to move. Well, he's gonna move more. In order to, unless he goes to the barbarian. No, he's still gonna have to go over. So he is going to be able to move up next to my character, but he'll be unable to attack him because he's exceeded his movement cost. Okay, so that's the end of the encounters. Now it goes to companions, and let me see. I know what I'm going to do. This works very well. And it helped me out the last scenario, and it's looking like it'd be good for this one too. Burning light. So, with my enchanter, I have a spell called Burning Light. Make a +3 attack against all undead creatures within 8 inches of line of sight of the caster. My caster is currently here. Now, I got a zombie here, 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 and here. And here, all within 8 inches of him. So they're all within this area. So I'm going to, at that point, cast Burning Light. Now, of course, they are undead. They have a relatively low will save. So let's get to the will save. Their stats, actually, of the undead. Will 0. They get nothing. And all I got to do is exceed the armor. Oh, come on. Oh, a 9. I rolled a 9. Hopefully, let's see, exceeded their armor. Let's see how much damage these zombies actually take. Nope, they have an armor of 12. My light spell goes off, and it lights this whole area up. Boom! But unfortunately, it does nothing. I'm thinking at this point... Ugh. Oh, I forgot to resolve that. No, he moved double his speed. That's right. Okay, so I'm going to... Oh, man. I wish it was my turn, but it's not. I should have used that heroic ability to activate an extra companion. But I'll have to wait till my next turn. So I'm going to use my rogue, and I'm going to see if my rogue can take this zombie out. I think that's going to be the best thing. And I think I needed some better 20-siders, because these 20-siders just seem to keep wanting to burn me. Okay, got a couple extra 20-siders here. And let's see. Maybe my luck will change. Alright, this is for the rogue. He gets a +1 to fight. 17, that'll take him up to an 18. Alright, and let's roll for the zombie. A 15. This is looking very good. Okay, so he has clearly won that battle. And going back to my stat sheet, so he has an armor of 12. So basic arithmetic, so you minus 12 from 17. And then the health is 6 for that current zombie right there. So I'm going to do a total of 5 points of damage to that zombie. It's not dead, but it's pretty close to being it. So I'll have to get another dice to mark where his hit points are at. So he is currently at a 1 right now, which is better than a sharp stick in the eye, but this isn't going too good. This isn't going as well as my first go around with this game, but this is what I love about miniatures, though. Alright, so now it's time to go to the event table and see what the event table brings us to. Alright. And I haven't even got a clue yet. Zombies. Place 2 additional zombies on the table at the center points of 2 different randomly determined table edges. Oh, God. Okay. Oh, man. Oh, wow. Okay, so I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And I'm going to roll a 6-sider and see how this all pans out. Five, nope, roll again. 5, roll again. Okay, that's stuck on a 5. Six. Okay. We're going to the D4 now. A 4. So I said 1, 2, 3, 4. And 2 more zombies spawn in this area. I'm going to be overrun by zombies here fast. So there we have it. We got 2 more zombies right here spawning in here. Oh, man. This is going to be a quick game. I don't think my characters or companions are going to make it out of this one alive. Luckily, what I can do, and I'm going to do for my heroic ability, is I am going to activate call to action, which means on my companion's turn, all 3 of my companions are going to activate. But before I do, I am going to move him back, my character, about half his speed, which will be here. And then I am going to fire an arrow at him. Ah, man, it's not working out for me tonight. 9, and I get a plus 2 to shoot, 10, 11. That doesn't even come anywhere near the armor, but let me see if I hit him at least. A 20. No, heck no. That zombie was able to... I just clearly missed that zombie. I mean, just big time miss. No other way to put it. Oh, sometimes the dice can be so cruel. Okay, so now with that out of the way, it is the enemy's turn. So the first thing I'm going to do, the rat is still engaged with the barbarian in battle, and the rat rolls a 5. Let me see what the barbarian rolls. A 19. So the barbarian is safe. Now, this ghoul who is engaged in combat with my rogue, let's see what he gets. Oh, rolls a 17. What does my rogue get? A 4. Oh, man. Alrighty. So, at this point, considering my armor for my rogue is 10, and that's going to leave 7 points that I'm going to absorb in damage, and he only has 10 health. That is brutal. He took a lot of damage on that one. Alright, now the other zombies activate, and he is going to move. He's well within his to move up, and he's going to attack my character as well as this guy, because I'm like right there looking like a side of beef. And I'm going to attack my 2 zombies. He's going to move in and attack my rogue. And then, of course, he will move in to attack my conjurer. And I am completely overran by zombies. Alright. So, let's resolve this combat. So, this first zombie right here that's only got 4 hit points, he does 6 points. Well, he rolls a 6. He didn't do 6 points. So let me see what my counter attack is, if it hit me or not. A 14. Nope, I'm safe. This zombie. So this one right here is a 5. I got a 17, so he does not hit. So this zombie that's currently engaged in combat with my companion, and next to him is this zombie that just moved in. So let's resolve his. An 8. A 14. Wow. Keep going this way. And then, of course, the last, my conjurer, an 8. And he rolls a 12. So I cannot believe that. That is absolutely astounding. Nobody took any damage whatsoever that round. That is absolutely amazing. Okay, so, well, no, I can't say that. My rogue took some massive damage this round, but given the circumstances, how we are completely just surrounded by zombies, it's absolutely a miracle nobody else took any more damage or got killed this round. Okay, so now companion turn, and oh man, I gotta wipe that rat out. This rat just keeps hanging around, and it's 18. And what does a rat get? A 15. I got a feeling this rat is gone. And it only has 1 health. Let me see what its armor is, though, because I cannot remember for the life of me. Okay, it's got an armor of 6. So I did hit it, obviously. I have 12 points above its armor of damage, and it's going to take, it only has 1 health point to kill it. That rat is dead. Finally, that sucker is off the board. That took quite a while to get him out of there. That was just unbelievable that rat stayed around as long as it did and kept my barbarian locked up in battle like that. Now, my barbarian is free to move, and he is going to move within proximity of this zombie right here, and I'll get him set up for the next turn. I now have my conjurer, who's currently engaged with combat with this zombie, and unfortunately he cannot cast a spell because he has to be able to concentrate. So he's engaged in combat. He's going to have to use his oak staff, and let's see what he does there. A 7. And he doesn't get any bonuses to fight either. And he rolled, the zombie rolled a 10 defense, so at that point, yeah, my conjurer has done nothing to defend himself. And let's see what I'm just going to have my ranger, I keep saying ranger, my rogue at that point try to finish off this zombie that he is currently engaged in combat with, and let's see what he gets. A 4? Man, what the heck? And the zombie rolls an 8. Okay. That was all of my companions. They have all went this turn, and now at this point it's time to draw the event card and see what new event is just going to try to kill me this round. So let's see. I have drawn the 7. Collapse. One of the buildings determined randomly collapses. Any figure in or within 2 inches of the building suffers an immediate +4 attack. Oh, man. Okay. So let's see which building collapses. It says a random building. I'm going to use a 6-sider, and I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 and 4 for this one, 5, and then 6. 5. This building right here. It would have to be that building. And is... Okay, he's more than 2 inches away from that building, and at that point, this building has collapsed. It is boom. So in the midst of battle, we hear the creaking sound of splintering wood, and to our amazement, this entire building collapses, splintering, sending out a big dust cloud of dirt and God knows what else upon the battle scene here. Okay, and that would take us into round number 6. No, currently. Wait a minute. Round 6. This would be 8, 7, 6. Yep, okay. Okay, so unfortunately I can no longer shoot. I'm going to have to resort back to melee weapon because I am engaged with combat with this zombie. So with that being said, I do have a short sword, and hopefully I can end this zombie here. And I have a +3 to fight. Oh, a 9. Really? Really? I mean, what's going on here tonight? Well, good thing is I struck the zombie with my short sword, but I did not strike it hard enough to do any damage. And now it is the zombie's turn. And I got 2 zombies that are going to try to attack me. So the first one I am engaged in combat with, of course it rolls a 17. Why would it not? And I rolled a 12. So he clearly hit me. And my armor is at an 11. I'm going to take 6 points of damage. It's going to hurt. Okay. Now, this zombie, because I was just attacked by this zombie, now this zombie right here is going to attack me. A 4. Well, that's good. And I rolled a 14 defense, so don't have nothing to worry about. My rogue, he's got 2 zombies attacking him. First one is a 4. Rolled a 7. The second one is a 5. And I rolled a 6. That's good. Now, the zombie attacking the conjurer rolls a 6. The conjurer rolls an 8. Wow. Okay. Oh. And these 2 zombies that came into play, because I forgot to activate them. I totally forgot they were there. Man, oh man. They get to advance, and they're going to move double their speed because there's nothing for them to attack. So boom. And then boom. So there's 2 more zombies coming into play here. And I am just getting totally overran by zombies. Okay. So now it's the companion's turn. And I'm thinking at this point, my barbarian is just going to take this zombie out that seems to be plaguing my conjurer. He rolls a 17. That's good. What did the zombie roll? A 16. Oh, and he gets a plus 4 to his fight. So take him up to a 21. That's going to do a total of 9 points of damage. The zombie only has 6. So he has just cut the head right off that zombie. Just... And that zombie, thank God, is out of the game. And I can currently move now after I attacked. I think I'm going to move my barbarian up here to help him at that point defend himself. Now it's time for my rogue to go, and he's engaged with battle with this zombie currently right here. So let's hope this goes good. A 20. That's a critical. That's just gonna do straight point that. He's got 1 point left. He just takes his dagger and he just right into the skull of this thing. Yeah. And takes that sucker right off the board. He is done. Whew. All right. This is the fun thing about miniatures. I mean, let's hope it keeps going this route. Because everything has just gone totally haywire with all these zombies. Okay. Now, that was the companion's turn. Now it's time for another event card. Let's see what we got here. A 3. And this is such a good game. This is really a good game. Okay, zombies. Place 2 additional zombies on the table at the center points of 2 different randomly determined table edges. Alright. Oh, man. So, I'm going to break out that D4 again, and I'm going to do what I did last time. Right in front of maybe 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So the first one, zombie will be placed here. Second zombie, no, re-roll again because I got a 1 again, will be a 3. So 1, 2, 3. So they'll be coming from opposite directions. Alright, so I have a zombie spawning in here. And at the other end of the table, I will have a zombie spawning in here. Okay, and that takes us to now round 5. We're almost at halfway point through the game. Now it's my character's turn, and my character, Hemrick, let's see with his short sword if he can at last get rid of this zombie. Man, he is rolling horrible tonight. I rolled an 8. And let me see what the zombie gets, see if I even hit him. I hit the zombie, but failed to do anything to the zombie. And I can't move because I am currently engaged in combat with him. Now it's the zombie's turn. I guess you can see what's going to happen here. I think I'm going to get eaten. And he moves up here. This guy moves up here, where my character is completely, utterly surrounded by zombies at this point. This guy is going to move double his speed. Boom, to there. And then, of course, this guy, because there is nothing for him to attack in his area, he is also going to move double speed to here. Alright. Just now coming out the entry gate to the village. Okay, so fortunately, the zombie is he is attacking my rogue, and let's see how that attack goes for him. Ooh, he rolls a 19. Rolled a 14. That's not bad, but it's not good either. So he did hit. Good thing is, I have an armor of 10. He only does 5 points of damage, so obviously it's pretty simple to figure that one out. Minus 14 from 19, you get 5. So, I'm safe. Now, here's the real question. My character, is he going to survive 4 back-to-back zombie attacks? He is completely surrounded at this point. And let's see what happens. First attack, and I'm going to go basically clockwise like this with him. So first attack is a 16. My defense is a 13. He has hit. Good thing is, my armor is 11, so it does no damage. Second attack, 14. My defense, 5. Good thing is, armor's 11, so at that point, he's only doing 9 points of damage to me, so I'm still safe. Next attack. Let me roll that up in between. 10. 8. Okay, don't have to worry about that. Last zombie attack. A 20. Oh, man. Oh, man. Unless... let me see. I rolled a 17. So... Yeah, I'm going to take some damage here. I'm going to take about 9 points of it. So I started this scenario with 18 health points, and I am now currently down to 3. I'm not even halfway through the scenario yet. Okay. Oh, man. Alright, so... now it's time for the companions to go. And... the barbarian is going to attack this zombie right here. And just... hopefully this goes well. Hopefully this goes really well. I am hoping. He rolled an 18. That's good. That's real good. Let's see what the zombie gets. An 11. Okay, he hits the zombie. I can never remember their armor. They always have a high amount of armor. Let's see what the armor is. A 12. That works. Because he only has 6 health points. So my barbarian is just like, whoa! Finally, he's getting into the thick of battle and just hacks his head right off his undead shoulders. And at that point, my barbarian is going to move into the thick of combat. He is at this point bloodthirsty, drunk on the excitement of a fresh kill. Alright, so that leaves my rogue. And my rogue, I believe, is going to do what a rogue will do. And he's going to, at that point, come over here and try to dispatch this zombie who is currently involved in combat. I do have a +5 to his stealth. I'm going to roll and see if I'm able to sneak up behind him without him even being aware to my presence. An 8. Let's see what the zombie gets. A 10. So, unfortunately, there will be no surprise attack. The zombie is quite well aware I am there because I am a clumsy, clumsy rogue. Okay. Well, let's just do the normal attack and see how things go. He rolls a 10. The zombie, however, rolls a 6. And that's not going to be enough to even wound. That is one tough zombie, man. That zombie just, it refuses to die. I mean, I know it's undead, but it's like, my God. He's like impenetrable. It's like the zombie made out of titanium. Take another sip of coffee here and work my way through this. Okay. That was the companion's turn. Now it comes to the next event phase. And let's see what we have here. Number 6. What horrible fate is getting ready to befall us? Giant rats. Place 2 giant rats on the table adjacent to 2 randomly determined buildings. If possible, these rats should be placed out of the line of sight of any heroes. If that is not possible, place them as close to a hero as possible. Well, I think that's going to be fairly simple with my terrain I have set up here to be able to do that. So, and that's going to take me down at that point to round 4. And I'm going to have a giant rat that's sneaking in here. And a giant rat that's sneaking up behind here. Okay. I don't think we're going to make it out of this scenario alive. We shall see. We shall see. Okay. I am currently engaged in combat with the titanium zombie here that just seems to be impenetrable to any type of damage whatsoever. And I am lingering on the phrase of life and getting ready to join the ranks of the undead, and I hope that does not happen. So you know, +3 to fight. Let's see what I can do here. A 9. A 9. And wait a minute, I rolled the zombies dice. Let me roll my dice. +3 and 18. That's better. Now, the zombies, a 4. My God, I think I may have actually done damage to this thing this time. As a matter of fact, I know I did. And even though it only has 1 hit point, 4 hit points left, I'm sorry, it is finally off the board. The titanium impenetrable zombie is finally dead. Phew. Okay, so now that was my character, and the fact that I was able to, yeah, what the heck, I'm gonna take I'm gonna move my character out of this horde of zombies. It's the only thing that I can do to try to spare my life. So, I can move 6. I'm going to move next to my conjurer. But in doing so, unfortunately, I'm going to take a leaving engagement from all 3 of these zombies to do that. And I hope all 3 of them miss. So, let's see. First one is a 2. I'll roll the dice just to be fair. A 12. Okay. Second one is an 11. I roll a 12. That's good. Last zombie, 13. And I rolled a 9. Okay. So that's 4 points. My armor is an 11. So I have nothing to really worry about there. Wait a minute. Did I do that? No. He rolled higher than me. Sorry, I got mistaken there for a moment. And I'm going to take 2 more points of damage, which is going to leave me with 1 point. So 1 zombie did get 1 attack on me while I was leaving the battle. But at least I am out of that mix of death, if you will. Okay, now that's the end of my turn. Because unfortunately I did attack, so I can't even attempt to even try to heal myself. And unfortunately we have all of these encounters to deal with now. And I believe the giant rats are going to move 6 spaces. Let me see. Yeah, that's what I thought. Move a 6. Okay. So first thing is, I'm going to move all the enemy units so I don't forget this time. Like I did last time. And this giant rat's going to move up here to the conjurer. This giant rat is going to move here. He could double his speed, but I don't see as to what point he won't be able to attack anyways. This zombie can move. It's going to bring him right up to the conjurer. And this zombie is going to move right up onto my barbarian. And unfortunately, now these zombies are going to move up onto my rogue. Like so. And let's see what happens. Okay. Let's do the barbarian first. First attack against the barbarian is an 11. He rolls an 18. That's a miss. Second attack is a 6. He rolls a 19. The barbarian evaded both attacks. The rogue, first attack is an 18. And he rolled a 9. Ouch. That's 9 points of damage. Well, his armor's a 10, so luckily I made it by the skin of my teeth, and I took no damage that turn. One more point, and I would have. So his next attack is a 1, and I rolled a 17, so I'm good there. Now for the conjurer, the giant rat has rolled an 8, and my conjurer has rolled a 13. And the zombie attacking my conjurer is a 13, and my conjurer has rolled a 16. That's awesome. That is awesome. So nobody took any damage this turn. Now it's time for my companions. And I think when it comes to the companions at this point, it's going to be in my best interest to activate my barbarian and then my conjurer. So I'm going to do the barbarian first, and let me see. I believe if they don't, they get 2 actions, so I think I can attack twice. Pretty sure I can. No, I can either attack and move or move and attack. Okay, so I'm going to, at this point, attack this zombie right here, and I rolled a 4. I'm not going to attack that zombie this turn because he's got a 14. And my conjurer, fireball. I'm going to cast fireball on something. I am going to burn something to death. Why? Because I am feeling like if I don't do something, everybody's going to be eaten by zombies here very quick. Which they already are, but let me get to my spells so I can get all of the there it is. Fireball. Pick a point within line of sight. All figures within 2 inches of that point suffer +3 shooting attack. Okay, so this is how I'm going to do this because I'm not in. He was attacked. Oh man, that's right. He was attacked by the zombie, and so technically he's engaged in combat. I cannot cast a spell at this time. Oh man, I forgot about that. Okay, so I'm just going to do the simple thing, which is I'm going to try to take out the giant rat because I got a better chance of doing that than taking out the zombie. So let's see how I do. I rolled a 5. The giant rat rolled a 10. So the conjurer with his oak staff couldn't even take out a giant rat. Okay, so now it's the event phase time. An 8. Let's see what kind of horrible things are getting ready to fall upon us. Terror. The hero with the lowest will stat on the table must make an immediate will roll of 16 or overcome by fear. If the figure fails, it may not activate next turn. If more than one figure ties for the lowest will stat, all eligible figures must make the roll. Okay, so let's see who's got the lowest will. +3, +3, +1, which is Shelder, my rogue.
and then I have a +5. So this isn't looking too good. And I can't blame my rogue for, having terror. I mean, after all, he's got all these zombies just bearing down on him. And he rolled a 7. So let's see what happens with... So that's just it. They lose their next turn as a result of terror. Okay, so I'm going to just lay my figure down to show that way he cannot be activated as a companion. In the next round, he's just in terror. He's pretty much crapping his pants at this point. Okay. And that's going to bring us down to round 3. Now, my turn for my hero, Henrik. And he is going to... I'm going to back up here, and I'm going to cast Heal on myself. Because... And I'm going to gain 5 points of health because I really need to. I am down to 1 health point. So that will be my turn, casting that spell. Now, unfortunately, it's time for all of these horrible creatures to go again. And, well, given the fact that he is in terror... yeah, he's still going to be involved in combat. Just hopefully it doesn't exceed his armor. Alright, so Barbarian first. We'll do 2 zombies on him. First one is a 5. The Barbarian rolls a 2. Oh, he does hit him, but he doesn't do any damage to him. That one. The second attack is a 17. My Barbarian gets a 6. Ooh, this ain't good. This is not good. He is going to take 6 points of health damage. I'm just going to leave him with 8. Okay. Now, considering my rogue is in terror, I'm just going to roll attacks for both zombies. If they exceed his armor, they're just going to do that damage. First one is 11, and the rogue's armor is a 10. So he's going to take 1 point of damage from one zombie, which is going to take him down to 3 health points. The next attack is a 5, so luckily it stops right there. Now my conjurer is getting ganged up on by a giant rat and a zombie. So the giant rat first, a 16. Ooh. And he rolls a 5. I'm going to take some damage here. And I know they have disease as well, which is not good. So his armor is 10. I'm going to take 6 points. It's going to go 2. And my conjurer is diseased as well. Let me see. There is a save to that. An 8 or better. Let's see if he gets it. A 4. No. So he's going to lose a hit point every turn. Nice. Okay. Now time for the zombie to attack my conjurer. He's rolled a 4. The conjurer has rolled a 4. Good thing is, I don't have to worry about any more damage to the conjurer. Now, companion's turn. I'm going to go with the barbarian first, see if I can wipe out one of these zombies. Because I am just getting pummeled here. Oh, really? A 4? So I got an 8. Rolled a 7. I hit, but not enough damage to really do anything to the zombie. So now the conjurer against the giant rat, and hopefully this does well this turn. She rolls a 10. The giant rat has a 13. It doesn't go anywhere. Alright, and... oh, I forgot to activate this rat again. Man, oh man, oh man. Next time, I'm going to move this here so I don't forget about him, because I'm not seeing him behind that table there. I mean, not table, structure. Actually, I'm just going to move the giant rat up here into the mix. And I guess before the end of this turn, I'm going to resolve that attack as well. Might as well just do it. Get it out of the way. Giant rat, a 19. Oh my god. My guy, an 11. Yeah, this is going to suck. It's going to be, ooh. So, as my barbarian is caught off guard, the giant rat leaps in, and at that point just rips his freaking throat out, and the blood goes squirting everywhere as the zombies begin to tear my barbarian into shreds and carrying him off, eating him. Damn. Okay, time for an event card. Number 9. Disease. Any figure that is reduced to 0 health during this scenario must make a health roll 16 or suffer from disease in the next scenario. Use a figure's starting health to make this roll. So my barbarian that just died, if he doesn't roll a 16 or better, a 17, and I have nothing to add. So, okay, I did roll 17. I'm good. Okay, so I don't have to worry about him being diseased next scenario. That would be horrible. All right. So that takes us to round 2. This scenario is just about over with. Realistically, I could probably call it at this point because I've just lost my barbarian, and we are just completely overrun at this point. And let's see. Let's just keep continuing on. See it to the end. Okay. My character, Hemrick, his turn. I am going to keep a safe distance because we have learned about getting too close to people. And I hate to do this to my companions, but you're kind of like on your own. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to move my normal movement, and I got a 24 range. I'm just going to lob an arrow down range at this zombie. And tell my conjurer, hey, sorry, I'll try to protect you from back here. Good luck, and if not, it was nice knowing you. A 2. Oh, man. Okay, I'm not even going to bother rolling the dice for the zombie. I mean, at this point, I'm not going to get enough damage. I have a plus, where does my shoot? A +2, which would take me up to a 4, and their armor's a 12, so it's kind of like useless. I mean, yeah, a 12, pretty much. Yeah, he's not doing too good today with the bow and arrow. He's just really not. And now, at that point, my companion's back on his feet from the little tear thing. And now it's time for all of this ugliness to move in and begin to attack. So this zombie is going to move up here into my conjurer. This zombie is going to move into my rogue. And where is this giant rat going to go? Why not? Giant rat go over here. Or I could have the giant rat go after him. Why don't I have the giant rat go after him? So he can move up to this point, which is 5, and then he can move 1 more inch, go around that, unless he was, well, hold on. So that'd be 2 inches, so 12. Okay, so he can do that. That's... yeah. I'm going to use the ability of jump, and that rat is going to jump over the collapsed remains of this building right here, and he's going to try to take a chunk out of my character. Let's see how it goes. He rolls a 15. I rolled a 6. Okay. 9, where my armor is an 11. Luckily, he does not damage me. Wait a minute. 15. Armor 11. That'd be 4 points of damage. Dang, man. So, I'm now down to 2 hit points, and... I gotta find the roll. Save for the disease. 8. 8 or better. Good. I rolled a 17. At least I got a decent roll. I'm not diseased. Now let's move on to all of this. So the conjurer. The giant rat first. Rolls a 6. He has rolled a 4. But it's not enough damage to do anything to him. First zombie rolls a 9. He rolls a 20. Very good. Next zombie on my conjurer rolls a 7. And he rolls a 14. They're rolling very high defensively. They just cannot roll high offensively. So the rogue, 3 attacks. First one, 12. He rolls a 14. He evaded that. Second attack, 19. Oh, that's going to be hard. He rolls a 15. And unfortunately, with my rogue, it's going to take 5 points. He only has 3 points of health. Unfortunately, he is overcome by the zombies and devoured. Okay. So now, with my conjurer completely surrounded and outnumbered, he's the only companion left on the board to go. Let's see what he does. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'm just going to try to attack the zombie right here next to me, because, I mean, it doesn't matter at this point. He's going to be probably dead next turn anyways. A 15? Oh, that's not bad. Let's see what he gets. A 4? Wow. Wow. So I've done 3 points of damage to this zombie right here. He is now currently at 3 points. And I could try to move and get out of that area, but man, that's a lot of leaving engagements. What the heck? What do I have to lose? I'm going to move him up to his speed, which will be here, but I'm going to take 1, 2, 3, 4 leave and engagement attacks. So first one from the giant rat, a 7. I rolled a 3, but it's not enough damage to get through the armor. This zombie right here, leave an engagement attack, a 20. Oh god. A 4. Yeah. Unfortunately. So as he wounded this zombie and tried to flee the area to get away, it was at that point, unbeknownst to him, another zombie stealthily moved in and at that point took a huge chunk out of his neck, and the conjurer fell to the ground and became zombie food. So he's out of the turn. Oh man. Okay. Well, now it's time for an encounter card. Let's see what the encounter card has to offer here. A number 5. Oh, let's get to the scenario encounters. Let's see what it has to offer. Okay, there we are. Number 5. Giant rat. Place 1 giant rat as near to a hero as it can get while still being in contact with a building. If more than 1 hero would qualify, roll randomly. Well, this ain't no good because this is remains of a building, but it still can suffice, and there's no other heroes on the board, so there we go. And it is now my turn, and let's see how this last round's going to go, because I'm going to call it at this point. I mean, pretty much I've lost all my companions, and yeah, I'm not going to be able to... It's just ridiculous to continue on from this point. I'm going to die. So I'm just going to take a last attack at this giant rat right here, and let's see how it works out. Rolled a 2. The giant rat rolled a 5. Now, I do get a +3 to attack, which would bring him up to a 5, but nevertheless, I think we can say with certainty at this point. My Rangers have lost. Really, really lost. And I think at this point, I'm going to call it a game and call defeat. Ugh. Well, there you have it, my friends. That's Rangers of Shadow Deep. That was the first scenario. Now, the first scenario I went through went a lot better because I won. And it was the first time I played it, so it was much easier to do this while recording because I already knew the layout and already had everything ready to go right off the rip. But nevertheless, it's miniatures, and it's good solo. I mean, as you see, despite my best efforts of trying to run across the board, grab a clue to get some extra experience, and whatever the clue has to offer to give me an advantage to the game board, well, it didn't work out. And as you can see how the encounter cards came out, how just more zombies kept just flooding the board, and at that point we were just overrun. But don't let the game scenario I played scare you off or think, well, why would I want to play that? I mean, I seen how bad he lost. That's the thing about miniatures. Despite your best efforts, sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. It all comes down to the luck of the die. And how everything is deployed, if you will. You can see what I mean by that heroic ability. Where you can only do it once a scenario, though, where I could activate that extra companion I had, because that is kind of the one thing to where you're always given that, like, that decision. You got 3 companions, but you can only activate 2 per turn, so you really have to delegate how they work out. Now, the first time I played the scenario, I used that Burning Light spell, and with my Conjurer. And it was the same scenario. All these zombies were closing in, and he had rolled an 18, and it just incinerated all of them as zombies and took them off the board, which was the winning thing for me. That's how I won the encounter. But as you can see, this time it spell didn't work. It just fizzled out. And there's not a whole lot you can really say about that other than, well, is what it is, my friends. And it's miniatures, and I love it. And so if you're watching this and you're new to the hobby, and maybe you got some miniatures laying around, a little bit of terrain, and all you played are RPGs, or maybe some of these board games that the D&D line has released with the little tiles and stuff, and you're looking for something new, maybe to break the miniatures out and get into a new avenue of gaming, if you will, Rangers of Shadow Deep is definitely a way to go, for the fact that it gives you a huge amount of scenarios in this book to start off with, and then if you go through this book and complete it, there are a ton more that you can, at that point, download off of RPG Now in PDF format, and it gives you everything. Or you could write your own scenarios, given the fact that really what sets this miniature game apart from other miniature games I played is how your hero goes, then the enemies take their turn, their phase, then your companions, and then that event card. And you can see how that event card, that really, that throws some curveballs your way to deal with. You're already dealing with these encounters moving in, and you're trying to, at that point, fend off all these encounters and get to these clues and be able to get everything you have to get done within 8 turns. And then those event cards really throw you a curveball, and every time you play the game, it's just going to shake things up a little bit. But it shouldn't deter you taking this mechanic, and, well, you could shake things up and make your own scenario, or just buy the scenarios already published. One thing I can say about the published scenarios for the miniatures that are already out there is these things have already been play tested, and the boards are set up to be as balanced as possible for your miniatures and your hero and your companions versus the enemy models on the board. So you could take it as is. You could also just take the mechanic of the way that this works and apply it to any miniature system you may currently have and see what it has to offer. But I can tell you what, it's a great game. It's a great game. It's a solo game. You can pick it up and sit down, and with minimal effort, a little bit of terrain, a few models, and some 20-sided dice, and you're ready to go. Everything. Now, I picked this up off of Amazon is where I found this one, and it's a wonderful book. It really is. It's a really nice leather hardcover book. The art in it is fantastic. The printing is, the book is of high quality. It's just under $40 for the book, but the quality of the book and all the scenarios that you get out of this system right here, I'm gonna say there's at least, to be fair, probably about, I'm gonna say 6 months. I'm gonna say there's probably worth about 6 months of gaming scenarios in here for you to play before you would have probably played through these enough times and you're looking maybe to download some more scenarios and play them, or move on to another game system and give this one a while to get back to. But nevertheless, I have to say, man, where would I rate this game system? You know, for solo, I would have to say we're going to rank up there pretty high. I would say this would be an 8 out of a 10 on my personal scale for solo games. And the reason why I say that is it's enjoyable. Everything you need is here. You have it in one book. It pretty much presents you with what you need. And then there's so much freedom in this book for the fact that with terrain, it gives you a basic overview of terrain, and it leaves it up to you to be able to set up your battle map the way that you want it and customize it the way that you want it. And that's, like I said, you don't have to use, any type of thing elaborate as this for your board. I mean, you could use cardboard boxes, you could use whatever you want to represent that building on your terrain map, or you could even, if you wanted to, just take some paper and cut out rectangles or whatever and set them there, and at that point it's a building. It could be a 2D building, it could be what have you. I mean, it's basically the world of miniatures. There's a huge difference between the miniature gaming hobby and tabletop role-playing games. So tabletop role-playing games are more story-oriented, story-driven. Everything is about your characters, advancing your characters, and exploring this world and trying to basically solve a mystery or what have you. I mean, with a role-playing game, the possibilities are just infinite, what you can do with it. With miniatures, there's a lot more hands-on when it comes to the terrain. So there's like this whole entire different area of hobby that goes along with miniatures as far as painting them, collecting them. I mean, so I decided to add some more minis to more models basically to my game. And true to, hey, what miniatures are, they're just unpainted miniatures. Could I have purchased painted minis? Sure, I could have, done that, but for me, part of the enjoyment of miniature wargaming is the fact that you get the miniature, you sit down and you paint it and you customize it to the way that you want it, till you're happy with it. And then when you put it out on the board, it's kind of cool because it's a one of a kind, because you painted it, you made it your own. And not to don't feel as if you would have to run out and invest a whole lot of money into the miniature wargaming hobby. Now, when it comes to minis, I mean, minis are minis. You could use tokens, but really you're supposed to use miniature models because it comes down to exact measurements of the movement on the board and scaling. So unlike an RPG game too, where you're going to put a battle map out, you may have a token or some dice to represent what is where in a battle sequence, so you have that visual reference to be able to give you a basically overall view of the battlefield, who is where, who's moving, and everything that goes into that RPG game. When it comes to minis, everything is about measurement, scaling. Everything on the board affects the battle, the movement, everything that is there has an effect on the games and the rules, and that's what makes it cool. That's what really, really, really makes miniatures cool. For me anyways, I have to say, because I really enjoy that. I really enjoy that type of game. I really enjoy that intricate type of end of the hobby of creating the scenes and putting it together and sitting down and enjoying it. Now, just to show you here, hold on a sec. So, don't think you have to break the bank by running out and buying a bunch of scatter terrain. Scatter terrain can be made very cheaply with some basic supplies and paint, and there's a know-how that goes with it. And once you learn some of these tactics and how to do them, you can create terrain quite easily. And I mean, stuff like this. I did not buy this tree, as a matter of fact. I made this. This is just some simple toothpicks, hot glue, and paint, and I make my own terrain here. Just to show you what I'm talking about, I have some other trees here I'm currently working on that, well, this will eventually become this here later on down the road, but it's cool because I wanted some more of the scaling for my miniatures, so I'll just make more trees, and it's infinite to what I can do with them and to make those. Now, these I specifically made for an RPG scenario, and I wanted a old, gnarly looking, kind of like a Mirkwood forest out of a Lord of the Rings type of setting, so I made those specifically for that, but they work well with my minis too. I just want to implicate some other trees that look more living, more living trees basically, with some foliage on them. So when I get those done, I'll show you what I'm talking about. But when it comes to miniatures, when it comes to the miniature hobby, if you're looking to get into it and you're looking for a starting point, Rangers of Shadow Deep is a good place to start. I've played a lot of different miniature systems out there. Some of my favorites being Heroscape. Heroscape is a great one. I love Heroscape. They stopped making it a long time ago. The only downside to Heroscape compared to other regular miniature games is the fact that you have these interlocking geotiles that you have to put together to create the battle map, but once you're done, you have a very cool battle map, and it takes a lot of the measurement out of it for you, because now you're just counting the spaces and the levels and so on and so forth. Whereas with this type of miniatures, this is true miniatures. You're using a ruler for movement, for everything. Everything comes down to an exact, precise measurement on the table, which is awesome, and I love that. The other one that I enjoyed a lot was the D&D miniatures and it was out during the 3rd edition. And they had so many different waves that came out of that. I'm trying to remember the name of that first one, and it's not really relevant at this point. I love that system, and that's where I got a lot of my minis from in my collection, was playing through different miniature scenarios, going out, acquiring more models, putting them in there, and as the years went by, I just acquired more minis. So I think I talked your ear off a lot about miniatures, and before I end this video, if you liked the video, please click the like button. Let me know if you liked the content or not, and if you have not subscribed, click that subscribe button, followed by the bell icon, and every time I upload a video, you'll get a notification so you do not miss one. But with that being said, my friends, it's starting to get late here, and I think I'm getting ready to call it a night. So this is Artichoke Dip, signing off, my friends. Game on.